Grief is a heavy and vulnerable conversation to have. This platform is a safe place for all individuals to come share their life's journeys of surviving grief without judgment.
Hi, my name is Tiffany Ware, and I am the host of the QT Surviving Grief podcast. I'd like to welcome you all, and I have a very special guest with me today. I've known this lady for quite some time. She's a local of Columbia, Tennessee, and she is community advocate, just all the things, honestly. So I would like to introduce to you guys Miss Carla Walker.
Hey everybody. Hey.
Welcome, Carla. Welcome. I'm glad
Thank
you're
you.
here with me today. Thank you for
Thank
accepting
you.
this invitation. I really appreciate it. I've always known you, but I would love to hear more about you and just all your experience and just all the wisdom that I know you embody. So thank you for being on today. But I want you to tell the people a little bit about who Carla Walker is.
All right. So I am, like Tiffany stated, a Columbia native, been here all my life, born and bred, all 53 years. I am a single mother of three young men. They're all grown now. My youngest is 32. I am a mother that started life a little bit late. Went and got my education from Columbia State Community College in 1990. Graduated there 2002. Went from there to Tennessee State University. Got my degree in English. I thought I wanted to be an English teacher until I went to Pearl Cone High School and had a young lady to basically cuss me out, and I realized then that I did not want to be a teacher. So from there, I
Mm,
ended up with my career at the state of Tennessee, being a CPS investigator. Did that for 8 years. Then God blessed me to be the resource linkage coordinator for 8 years. And that's just mainly meant that I was the face of DCS out in the community, covered 14 counties. And then after that, God blessed me again to upgrade me. So now I work for the Tennessee Commission on Children and Youth, that where I'm an advocate for the community, an advocate for the juvenile justice family kids, an advocate for my community as far as lawmakers, an advocate and a voice for the kids that are in that's in the foster care system. And I now have a nonprofit called Jump, Just Understanding My Purpose. And so we're up and getting that going. These are things that with Jump, things I've been doing for a while now, but I'm just not putting it all under the same umbrella. So I'm very excited about that venture and finishing up school with my master. So it's a lot of me, but one part of me. And main thing, I am a child of God, firm believer, and I know that He orders my step in everything I do. He's my health, He's my strength, and He's my redeemer. So that's Carla in a nutshell.
awesome. Well, thank you, Carla. That was everything that you are for sure. You definitely live a life of service, a life of advocacy, just for our community and definitely we'll get to the child of God portion of our interview too. And so thank you for just letting people know a little bit about who Carla Walker is. Um, so I'd like to start our conversations off a little light, and this is something you probably are not prepared for, but I like to do a little icebreaker just to kind of break the ice and open up our discussion. So my question to you is on gratitude today. What touched your heart today?
Um, Today, first of all, waking up. But I was
Yeah.
able to be in a room full of pastors. This morning, I was a part of the faith-based initiative with the state of Tennessee, which is an initiative that the governor is putting together. So being in a room with pastors of like mind and wanting to help, making those connections, especially with pastors of color, to see them in the room, because sometimes they are left out. So to be able to see them in the room, again, not having the crab mentality, but willing to work together to try to help the kids in the state of Tennessee. So that's what I was grateful for today, that I was even afforded the opportunity to do such a thing.
Yeah, that's amazing. Like you said, a lot of times we are left out of those rooms, so it's good you got to participate in that. And I'm sure it connected you with a lot of people as well. Just for, everybody being purposeful in their own way. But even purposeful, but yet connected and having one goal, common goal and vision. So that's cool. Well, thank you
Absolutely.
for sharing. Thank you for
Well,
sharing.
thank you.
I like how you threw in there first waking up because that is definitely something to be
Or
grateful
some don't make
for,
it.
as we know.
Well, some
That's right. Yeah. Some don't make it. That's some Quinn, your cousin, used to always he would text me early in the morning sometimes. By the time he didn't got to work, he like, I was on the wake up list. You on the wake up list, especially if he ain't heard nothing from me. So I think about that and laugh now, but it's true. If you woke up this morning, you was on a wake
absolutely.
up list. So that is a blessing and definitely something to be grateful for. But
Mhm.
anyway, okay, so we're gonna delve into a little bit of conversation. And one thing we talked a lot about, of course, we talked about grief and things like that. And we wanted to definitely take a moment to honor both of your parents have transitioned. And so we wanted to take a moment to honor them and honor their memory, their legacy. And it was Mr. and Mrs. Billy and Mary Walker. So
Mhm.
I would just like for you to tell the people
Yes.
who they were to you, just a little bit about them.
Okay. So growing up, I was the only girl, and I had five brothers. So first of all,
Wow.
um,
God did not
my
know that.
my father, so my father, I'm gonna see how I can put this. He
Okay.
was a man of service. He was a man that would give his shirt to anybody. He would It was plenty of times that I woke up in the home and it would people be in the home that I didn't know that he done saw on side the street. They needed somewhere to sleep and he would bring them to the house so that they could have somewhere to sleep. My dad in the 70s and 80s, there was a baseball team here in Columbia for the adults called the Sluggers. So my dad was
Okay.
the coach of the Sluggers baseball team that played at Fairview Park. My
Okay.
dad was one that um, whenever they were in a bind, they would call. My mom, on the other hand, was the support behind my dad. So she was one of those that didn't say much, but when she did
Mm-hmm.
speak, listen to what she had to say. So my daddy was the face, but she
Gotcha.
was the voice, if that makes sense. So
It does.
they
Gotcha.
complemented each other. Yeah, they complimented each other. She when my father well before my father passed, I saw how strong my mother really was.
Mm-hmm.
And once he passed, I really saw her strength. Because soon after he passed, she was diagnosed with breast cancer. So not she
Okay.
didn't have time to grieve him without going through her own thing. And so
Wow.
for me to see her strength and how she got through the death of her husband, who she was with for 20 something years, and have to deal with breast cancer, that really showed me her strength and how strong she was. So, and she was a survivor. They were able to do, she was able to do chemo and radiation, and she lived
Okay.
like 10 more to 15 more years uh, in remission.
Wow.
And so she did well. And so seeing that part of her made me want to emulate her in the strength that she had to be that strong for other people in the community as well as my family.
Gotcha, gotcha. I like that, Carla. It's like you're a good combination of both of them. You speak of your father's service in the community and how the strength of your mother. So I definitely see both of them displayed in you for sure. And thank you for dropping that history about the Columbia baseball team, the Sluggers. Thank you for
Yes.
sharing that, because I don't know if I've ever really heard that story of that team. So I have to get with you about a little more information, history on that.
Yeah, I mean,
But
not many
yeah,
people know that, because there was a lot of guys that played on the team, and I think it
hmm
ended in the mid '80s. So it's one of those, like you said, hidden gems that was in the county that if you didn't grow up around here, you didn't know.
hmm yeah, yeah, gotcha. Well, with that being said, Carla, one thing I've heard a lot of people say, when they lose their parents or when their parents transition, that I've heard people say like I felt like an orphan, like my soul is tied to these two people who came together to create me, and then
Mhm.
it's like my soul is just tethered from this earth when they're both gone. Was that your experience? And I know it was some time from your dad passing and then your mom, which was more recent. But
Mhm.
was that experience different for both of them? Was it the same, or what's your thoughts behind it and your experience?
So for my dad, we expected it because he had brain cancer. So we
Okay.
it didn't hurt any less, but we expected him
Mm-hmm.
to pass. And so he had a lot of things prepared for his passing. My
Okay.
mom, my mom, on the other hand, um, it happened suddenly. Um, she was here today, gone today, and so I did feel
Okay.
like, oh my goodness, what am I to do now? Um,
Mm-hmm.
I it hurt because at that point I didn't know how to grieve. I mean, I had lost people that were close to me, but it's a difference when it's a parent. My
Mm-hmm.
me and my mom, we talked every day, so it was like, who do I talk to now? It was a
Yeah.
thing of, I knew I was gonna get a phone call every morning at 7 o'clock. That
Mm-hmm.
the phone call stopped, and
Yeah.
so when on how when we were on our way to the gravesite, because we had to have graveside service because it was during COVID. We buried her in 21. She died in December the 29th of 20. So we had to have her
Okay.
graveside service January the 7th, 21. Um, it dawned on me as we was driving to the cemetery. I I I have no parents now. And so my boyfriend was riding in the car with me, and I said, I'm an orphan. I don't know what I'm going to do. I have nobody now. I have no parent. I don't know what I'm going to do. And so that weighed heavy on my heart for many months. Um and
Mm-hmm.
every now and then that creeps back up, because when you're used to having those phone calls every day and you don't get
Oh
them,
yeah.
uh
Mm-hmm.
it's like,
Yeah.
what do I do now?
Oh
There's
yeah.
a lot of great things that's about to happen in my life now. I can't call my parents and say, hey,
Right.
this is what's going on. So still feeling that um yeah, that orphan feeling, to feel that I have no one, but I have an aunt and I have that I can call when I feel that way, but it's still not the love of your mom and dad. If that makes sense. They here for me, but they can't fill that void. So
Yeah. That makes sense, Carla. Yeah, because it's nothing like your parent. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, you can have aunts and other
mhm.
family members, and thank God, they're in place to help support the journey. But it's different, I'm sure. Like I say, it's nothing like your parents. What is your journey to, or have you got to acceptance yet with the death?
I am, and I have gotten to acceptance. It was a
Okay.
while before I got there. Uh, Me and God battled. And when I say
Okay.
we battled to the point to where, and I'm just gonna be honest. I was
Yeah.
going to church. I was doing the role play. I go to church because I have to check off that box. You know what I'm saying? I was always in church, so I'm gonna go to church.
Yeah.
God was trying to talk to me, and I was like, I don't want to hear nothing you got to say. You took the only thing I had left. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
So God and I battled. Um, and that orphan thing was real. And one day I was sitting in the living room here at the house, and he came to me and said, "You are not alone. I'm here." I loved her
Wow.
first. And that
Wow.
just hit
Okay.
with me because I was like, I'm being selfish. She was yours first. So I'm being very
Mm,
selfish. So I got to get out of this selfish mode. And so
okay.
it took me a minute to get out of that selfish mode. Um,
Hmm.
but once I was able to release that, the the pain of her not being here, it didn't completely leave, but it got easier. Because when we first buried
Hmm.
her, I could not go to the cemetery and put flowers on the grave because it was too much. I
Hmm.
couldn't go
Yeah.
out there, you know what I'm saying, because she's buried right beside my dad. So I couldn't go out
Right.
there and say anything, just look at their graves. I couldn't do that. So I would get order flowers and have somebody else to go out there and do that. Now I can go out there, put flowers on their grave, sit a little bit, meditate, cry, then cry.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
has gotten it has gotten to the point to where I know she's in a better place. Um
Okay.
and that she is helping connect me and helping me navigate my life, if that makes
Hmm.
sense. Because I can feel a presence sometimes. I can
Yeah.
I can
Oh
feel
yeah.
something. So, or I can
Yeah.
smell something that reminds me of her when I'm in a down, 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 down mood. I can smell something that reminds me of her, or I hear one of her old sayings. So I know that
Hmm.
she's still lurking, but not here physically, but in the spiritual realm.
Yeah.
She's
Spirit
still.
is so it's so real, Carla. And
Mhm.
one thing Queen used to always say, we're just spiritual beings having a human experience. Because like you say, your spirit never dies, your soul never dies. And so I'm sure that presence is comforting to you in
Mhm.
those moments, or whenever she touches down, and from day to day, when you have those encounters. So that's I'm glad to hear that other people feel know that that's a real thing. um and it was something else I was going to say to something you said. But thank you for being honest and walking us through that journey of even like going to church and stuff, like even going to the cemetery. Like that stuff is very hard, when we're dealing with grief. So I just
Absolutely.
appreciate your honesty,
And I mean,
for sure.
one of the things though, for me is I didn't like funerals anyway. I've only been at that point. I've only been to like 5 funerals.
And you said the funerals that typically
No,
you didn't really go to
no, I
funerals like
didn't
that.
because I was one of those that I wanted to remember people as they were in their happy state and not my last memory of them in a casket. Um, and so having to because I always went to church. So that was just the norm, if that makes sense. I was always taught you got to go to church. No matter what you're going through, you got to go to church.
Yeah, it
You know what
does.
I'm saying? But just going and sitting in the back of the
Right.
church, just saying, okay, today I went to church. That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
God, I don't want to hear
Yeah.
none of you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just
God, I don't
checking
want to
it
hear
off
none
your
of you guys
list.
say. Yeah.
Not even receiving. Yeah. Yeah. You
Right.
just there. You just
Absolutely.
existing. I can say I came, but I'm
Right,
not even, nothing's
right,
even registering that's
right.
happening in the
And
atmosphere. Yeah,
one of the
yeah.
my pastor came to me and he said, "You good?" Because he called me Boo. He said, "You good, Boo?" I said, "No, I ain't good." He said, "What you mean you ain't good?" Because he was always joking with
Right.
me. I said, "I'm not good." I said, "I'm having a hard time." And he said, "I just need you to understand, the grieving
Mm-hmm.
process never stops. It just gets easier." And I was like, I hear what you're saying, but just know I'm gonna still be
Mm,
here, but don't ask me to do anything. And
yeah.
so, just continue to go and
Uh-huh.
hear, and allowing them to love me through when I was going through my hardest time, uh, made
Uh-huh.
me go back to say, okay, I'm here for a purpose. Let me receive what is what I need to get from here. So that helped out a lot. I mean, I was going every Sunday, going, crying,
Gotcha.
snotting, and all that
Yeah.
stuff. I was going,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
but I was just checking off their box.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, and so when I got to the acceptance piece,
Yeah, you really have to change your perspective, is what it sounds like. While you were just kind
yes,
of existing, but over time,
mm-hmm,
it kind of
yes, it
shifted.
did. And
Yeah.
since I allowed that to,
That's awesome, and I appreciate your honesty even in that, because a lot of people don't want to admit, and
mm-hmm,
your honesty with your pastor too. Like, no, I'm not good. Because how many times do people ask us that, and
right,
we be like,
and
I'm
lying,
good.
look,
You
and
going
lying,
you going through hell, hell and high water, and lying in the church. Yep,
and lying.
that's
But
real.
I love them for
Yes,
giving me that
ma'am. Yes,
grace to go
ma'am.
through it the way that I needed to, because when people go to people and tell them, uh, you've been grieving long enough,
Hmm.
don't know what that grief process is for them, because for
Right.
everybody it is different. uh you know some people can be like,
Yes, it
I'm good,
is.
but then they're dying on the inside slowly. They're contemplating saying, I want to be
Yeah.
with that person.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't just say you need to get over it. You
Yeah.
don't, you can't say that, because everybody go through it differently. I know people now,
Mm-mm.
their significant other or their husband or their dad or parent have passed on and transitioned, and they're still grieving because they don't know how to let it go. So, everybody's process is different.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And so I love them for,
It
go
is.
ahead.
Words matter. So don't discount someone's pain. Don't discount their grief. Don't, like you say, you should be over this. It's been X amount of months, years, or whatever the case is. Like you
Absolutely.
say, every case is
Absolutely.
different. Well, what's the greatest lesson that your parents taught you, Carla?
Uh,
What do you think the greatest lesson
Treat
is they
people the way
taught
you
you
want to
in
be
life?
treated. Because
Yeah.
I am a firm believer, and I got this from my dad a lot. Um, you be kind to people, people be kind to you. You show yourself friendly, they'll be friends to you. Treat people the way that you want to be treated. You can't discount
Mm-hmm.
the way that somebody looks, because you don't know their story. You can't discount the way what kind of car a
Mm-mm.
person drives, because you don't know if that's the only thing that they got. So you treat people the way that you want to be treated, and God will bless you twofolds, because you're doing the things that you're supposed to be doing in His sight. So definitely the golden rule.
Yeah. Amen to that. That is very true. So let me ask you this. What advice do you have for anyone that has lost a parent or both of their parents? My well, three of my cousins, they lost their mom last year in January.
Hmm.
Um, and it's been tough. So yeah, what advice do you have for anyone who's lost a parent or both parents?
Um, Remember their memories. Remember them, the good times. But also grieve the way that you need to grieve. The grieving is not cookie cutter. One cry and you're done. So grieve the way that you need to grieve. Um, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, continue to remember their memories, but don't dwell in it, if that makes sense. Remember them, and
Mm-hmm.
but not just be stuck in that memory. If that, so grieve how you need to grieve, love them,
Yeah.
keep them a part of your heart. And I've known some people that have made a shrine in their house for that person. You know what I'm saying? Kept the obituary, kept the flowers, kept a big picture.
Uh-huh.
It's almost like they're not so much worshiping them, but they're making a shrine for them. That is good, but it is best that you don't do that, because you will continue to walk into that and the grief process starts all over. So you,
Yeah. Yeah.
because every
I could
time you
see
walk
that.
by,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying. So you hold memories, here and here, but not make a shrine of it, because the more you walk
Mm-hmm.
by, the more you
Right.
will deal with man. So yeah, that's my
Yeah. It can take you down an unhealthy
absolutely,
path, Carla, for sure. And I know even for me, what I'm going through right now, a lot of people, I got so many gifts and, the little churches and the chimes and, just different things. And like all of that reminds
hmm
me of what I went through last year. So like it's
right,
currently put away for now until I'm able to even see that type of
absolutely,
stuff in my house. Because it just takes you back, like you say, you just you fall right
hmm
back down into that. Got a little photo frame and
right,
like it's a digital one. So all my pictures, I had set it up that way, thinking it was gonna be helpful, me seeing our pictures, but it's not at all. So now it's turned
right.
around because I just can't handle it. So it just made me think of what you was talking about with the display, just kind of being mindful that you're not going back, spiraling back out of control,
So
out of control. So
yeah, so
that is
I
a
know
really
that
good point you just made.
my son is living in my mom's house right now, and he's got a picture of my mom and my dad up, and it's in the living room, and we pass by it every time we
Okay.
walk through the door. So that he's doing it as in memory of them, but it's a trigger for me sometimes when I walk in the house.
Uh-huh.
So it took me a long time to be able to go to the house.
Gotcha.
And so that's one of the reasons that I don't go, because that's a trigger
Hmm.
for me. If I mean,
Right. Yeah. 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 That's understandable though. It is for sure. Because it's different. You used to walking in and seeing her and now it's like, okay,
right,
now I got a picture. You know what I'm saying? So I could see that for sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But like you said,
right,
everybody's different because it may help him seeing them as he's coming to and fro. So we just and I think we all have to do what makes us comfortable and what makes us not be triggered and to
absolutely.
stay in
And
a certain
also,
posture. So
I
that
will
that
also
makes complete
say
sense.
that if you
Hmm.
need to talk to someone about grief counseling, to do that as well. There are people out there to help you navigate. If
Oh
you feel
yeah.
that you can't do it on your own, navigate that with them. Also, if you don't have a prayer life, get one. Ask God to help you with this process, um,
Oh yeah.
because without God and the people that were surrounding me to help me, I don't think I would have made it. Because, like I said, with my mom, it happened suddenly. We was together all that day, and then that night, I get a call: Granny at the hospital can't breathe. What do you mean, Granny at the hospital can't breathe? Granny is not breathing. What do you
Mm,
mean, Granny is not breathing? So, that just pulled the rug
right.
from under me. So one thing that I didn't do at first was go for the grief counseling, because I thought that I can do it on my own. Uh,
Okay.
but I found people that I could talk to
Okay.
help it navigate better. So,
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I think it's different too,
mhm,
Carla, when it is sudden like that. Grief is
right,
hard, death is hard anyway. But when it's something that's so sudden and your day is just going like business as usual, and I tell people now that one phone call can change your life. And I don't think people, if you've been through it, you know.
absolutely.
how quick life can shift, and everything you done grew up knowing, learning, just is out the door. That was my
Mm-hmm.
experience. Because it is so sudden and such a shock. So yeah, I understand a
And,
hundred
and I
percent
and
what you're talking
also
about with that
when
for
my mom
sure.
passed, okay, they had put her on a ventilator that night. Uh, because it was during the time that the bombing happened in Nashville and all the phones were down. So my son had to drive her to the hospital, and she died on the way to the hospital in the car while he was driving. So they vented her, and so we couldn't go to the hospital with her. So when they pulled the plug on her, only two people could be at the
Mm,
hospital. So I let my brother go, who hadn't seen her in a couple of years, and I let my aunt go. Because I couldn't go
okay,
and do that. You know what I'm saying?
couldn't go.
But they
Okay,
had it to
yeah,
where we could
right.
watch it on
Oh yeah,
Zoom.
yeah.
And so I couldn't even watch it because I didn't want to see my mom take her last breath. You know what I'm saying? When they
Wow,
took the vent
yeah.
out. They said she was smiling and probably was because she smiled all the time. But
Okay,
I just couldn't do it because I
okay.
already knew that she was gone before they took the plug out, if that makes sense. So mm,
Before they
yeah,
took it out, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that
mhm,
and that can be traumatic. So you did, and
mhm,
that you took care of yourself in that situation
right.
because you knew what you could and couldn't handle, and so that's commendable of you just to recognize that in yourself and kind of know what
Hmm.
what you needed to do in that moment. Yeah, sound like two very special people, Carla.
I
Thank you for
love my
sharing about
parents.
your parents, and
Well,
I know
it's
it's not
easier
easy.
now. It's easier now
Yeah,
than in the
yeah.
beginning. Uh,
Okay,
because like I said, with my dad, we expected it with the
okay.
brain cancer. With my mom, I couldn't talk about it without crying. Now, 4 years
I
later,
see.
it's better. It's a lot better. So I can talk about her and not cry. Now,
Yeah.
once we get off of here, I'll probably go cry. But right now, I'm good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, you give people hope, and and for me, Carla, especially, and probably my cousins as well, if they see this, it's not always gonna feel this
Mhm.
way. You know what I'm saying? Because it's hard to even wake up some days. You know what I'm saying? And get going.
Oh,
And I'm sure
absolutely.
you were there at some point, but what you're showing now is just like the resiliency of how you've been able to navigate
Mhm.
it, and now you can speak about her without you
Right.
know, crying and all of the emotions that come behind it. So thank you for just being a picture
And
of what that looks like. Once you start to kind of get on the
and I
other
mean,
side
some
of it a
days
little
is
bit.
are hard. Like Mother's Day is still a little hard, but I can go on. You know what I'm saying? Um, because
Yeah.
I thought that this Mother's Day
Uh-huh.
was going to be bad for me, but I was just able to say, "Mom,
Okay.
you good? You good, Mom? We good, Mama, we good." You know what I'm saying? So and able to navigate that.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have days where it's ebb and flow, but just know that it will get better. It will get a whole lot
Yeah. Good. Well, amen to that. We gonna
better. Okay.
transition a little bit, Carla. So I know an exciting thing happened last year in May for you. You accepted your calling into ministry. And you preached your first sermon. I think I watched it virtually because I wasn't able to, I just
Right.
couldn't do stuff at that point. You did a really good job. But I want to know, what has serving in ministry over this past year, what has it taught you? Have you learned anything
Woo.
about
No.
people, or what has it kind of taught you? Like, what does it look like navigating
So
ministry in
for
year one?
me, um, it has shown me that people are people. Um, everyone is not the same. Um,
Yep.
and people hold you to a higher standard than you hold yourself. And let me explain that. I was called in the ministry.
Okay.
Okay. I
Okay.
was. But I'm still Carla.
Right.
I'm
Yes.
still
Yes.
me. Uh,
That's right. That's
I
right.
am
That's
not.
right.
I mean, God has
Right.
changed the
Yeah.
way that I look at things. God has changed the way that I maneuver. but I don't dwell in those titles. I'm still Carla.
Uh-huh. Gotcha.
You
Gotcha.
might want to call me
Gotcha.
Minister
Uh-huh. That
Carla,
makes sense.
but I'm just Carla. So
Uh-huh.
don't put
Just
that
Carla.
to where you feel that I am up here and you're down here. That's not how we in this
Uh-huh.
thing together, because
Yeah.
that's what God wants. Ministry is us working
Right.
alongside each other to build his kingdom. So, that I have noticed that when people
Yeah.
see me, Minister Walker, Minister Carla, no, I'm just Carla. Just Carla. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Don't put me on a pedestal because I'm a servant just like you. I just stepped into where I speak
Yeah.
to the people freely, but I'm just Carla. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's yeah. I mean, like you say, you call it first, but and like you say, a lot of people do get hung up in titles, but I mean, that's not even your personality. Like you say, to feel like you're here and there, like you just always want to be there to meet people where they are, and that's something I've known about you forever. So even stepping into ministry, that has not changed for you at all. Um, Let me ask you this in relation to
Hmm.
being ministry and grief. Um, do you now view death and grief differently at all? Because I'm sure now you may have to go minister to
Right.
a family, not preach a funeral or nothing, but like just have we just we go to people's houses and people pass. Has that shifted your view on death and grief?
So
Just
it's
kind of stepping into
still,
those
I meet
shoes.
people where they are. That's it.
Okay,
That
yeah,
doesn't change no matter the circumstance. I just meet them where they are. Um, I mean, because sometimes people just want you to be around just to be there. I can sit with you all day long. I can't tell you how you feel.
okay,
You know what I'm saying? I can't tell
yeah,
you what you're
yeah,
going through. I could just be silent there with you.
yeah,
So just
yeah.
meeting I mean, it has shown me that just have to be intentional about what I do when I come around people that may be grieving, to meet them where they are. Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
Because there
Yeah,
are
that makes
some that
sense.
like a
That
whole
makes a
lot
lot
of
of
people
sense.
around,
Um,
some that's like I don't want anybody around, some may want their pastor around, some might not want they, you
hmm
know what I'm saying? So you just got to be I just got to learn to meet people where they are, because grief and death is gonna happen. That's one of those things, just like taxes, it's gonna happen. It's just how you view it.
gonna
You
happen.
just how you view it. And for
Yeah.
me, it's all about meeting
Yep.
people
It
where
is.
they are. You know,
And I think that's a good way of looking at it. Life in general, but also like I said, kind of goes back to what we was talking about earlier. Just like you say, want to meet people where they are, no matter what the title is. Just as a human, as a like whatever whatever your role
right?
is. Um, do you feel like you have a certain charge in ministry? Like how some people may be a minister of music, or they may be, more in women's ministry or youth ministry. Do you feel like you're in any of those certain
So right,
charge
so right now,
on your
my
life?
charge is for the African American churches to talk about mental health. Um, when when
Okay,
my son
okay,
was going through
okay.
his mental health crisis, I went to my preacher at the time, and they said pray
hmm
about it. I pray. Just going talking
Yeah,
about my
yeah,
son. When he had his mental health crisis,
yeah.
I was working in the field to where I knew a lot of the things that I needed. But when you're going through, you don't think about that. And so um,
Mm-mm.
I went to my preacher, like I stated, and he said pray about it. Okay, I pray. I've been praying. I've been praying his covering. I've been praying what I thought I needed to pray, but he's still going through.
hmm
And so a
Right.
lot of African American churches, that's the first thing that they go through and say, pray about it. Prayer works. God is a healer. God is a
hmm
deliverer. God has set many people free. But there's another piece to that we need to discuss. So getting mental health help
Yeah.
within the Black church is very important to me right now, because
Okay.
there are plenty of pastors, especially that's going through vicarious trauma, which is secondary trauma, because they hear a lot of things that
Hmm.
they can't talk about, and they don't know who to talk to about it, or they don't have anybody to dump it on. So, and that's doing a disservice to their parishioners. So, talking about
Right.
mental health in the African American church and letting people know that it's okay to receive it as well as believe in God is my charge right now. And so I'm um, really trying to put the word out that it is okay not to be okay. And most people say we're going to stop the
Hmm.
stigma of drug abuse, or we're going to stop the stigma of domestic violence. My thing is we're going to stop the stigma. We're going to kill the stigma of mental health, because as
Yeah.
long as you talk about it, you're killing it. As long as it's kept dark, it's
Yeah.
still growing. But the more we bring things to light, it's stopping it. It's killing it. So bringing to light that there is mental health within the church as well as outside of the church, but we need to be equipped in order to help anyone either way. So,
Yeah. Yeah, that's true, Carla, and I'm glad you're doing that because you're right. It's just it's kind of how back in the day, a lot of your parents or whoever, it's like, what goes on in this house stays in
mm-hmm,
this house, and it's similar to that when it comes to church too. Like, they want to keep everything quiet, and like I said, I'm gonna just pray about it. But you really people are really dealing with like real issues and they need the proper supports. And God puts these people in place, to help us navigate, the challenges of life.
right,
So I think what you're doing is commendable and bringing the conversation forward.
absolutely,
Because it's just one of them topics that a lot of people just want to stay buried or. Back in the day, it was like, oh, this the crazy uncle. He in the back room. He don't ever come out.
right,
No, he probably had some issues and nobody got no help. Like, and as people, we just go on like, yep, it's crazy. We go on about our business, not thinking nothing else about it.
mm-hmm,
But it really, it does, it's just how it's been, and it's time out for it. So, I think you're going to open a lot of people's eyes, and once we can change or just bring information, I guess, to preachers, ministers, just church leadership in general,
absolutely.
that's kind of where that conversation is going to start, and hopefully be able to gain some momentum and go somewhere.
Absolutely,
So
because I talked to
yeah.
several pastors here in town. We had a mental health summit last year, um, just
Hmm.
just to bring the awareness that mental health is real. And so we're gonna do it
Yeah.
again this year. Have a mental health summit, uh, because, like I say, the more we talk about it, it's not taboo anymore. The more you talk about a thing,
Right.
it can't be
Right.
hidden anymore. The more you talk about a thing, the more information that you can gain to help the next person, because you gather information most of the time not for yourself, you gather it for somebody else. So this will be a way that if
Hmm.
it is someone in your church that needs a counseling service and they can't pay for it, these are some services that they can go
Uh-huh.
to receive free counseling. So, just putting the information out
Yeah.
there. And then we also need to change the narrative. No, we need to change the way that we talk to people about mental health. You can't call them crazy
Uh-huh.
and expect for them to change. That's like calling a addict.
Right.
You're an
Right.
addict. They're not going to change. You know what I'm saying? So change the
Right.
wording
Right. Right.
of how you address people
Yeah.
that have a mental health issue. Everybody is not crazy. Everybody is uh
Hmm.
not off the rockers. Sometimes it's just simple a chemical imbalance. So there are things out there to help you
That's
get
right.
back aligned, but you will never know that if you don't take the time to talk to them to see what's really going on and get them the help that's needed.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think about when you're talking about, not calling people addicts and stuff, it's kind of like we need to use that person first language.
Absolutely.
Because it's kind of like even in childcare, we always set our little rules of the classroom, and it's like no walking, no this, no that. Well, all they're hearing is they ain't even hearing the no, they hearing run or whatever. So we switch it around and say walking feet. Oh, okay, well, I can compute walking feet. Oh, I need my feet to be walking, or listening ears,
Right.
a quiet voice. And so anyway, that language matters. And when you're dealing with somebody, like you say, that's going through mental health struggles, addiction, whatever the case is, we don't want to label. That's the biggest piece of what I was saying. We don't want to label people.
Absolutely.
And I also think too about ACEs,
Oh.
Carla. I know that's a big thing we talk about with our child care
Mm-hmm.
providers, and how important, even we're giving this information to, church leadership. But have you dealt with your own?
Absolutely.
Do you even know what ACEs is? Do you know you may have 3 or 4 of them?
Right.
So really educate people on that too. And I know that's part of what you do.
Yes.
So
And so and
yeah,
so
it's good conversation to
yeah.
have. Bring it
And
out.
so we're starting out slow this time. Last time we just had the mental health summit and nothing leading up to it. This time
Okay.
we're doing some training to lead up to the mental health summit. So we're doing the QPR training, which is the suicide training, to lead up to
Yeah.
the mental health summit. The next training we're going to have is ACEs, PACEs, and HOPE. So ACEs, adverse childhood experiences,
Okay.
the things that happen to you before you turn 18. PACEs is those positive things and those positive people to help combat the ACEs that you receive. And then HOPE is healthy outcome from positive experiences. So even though you had those ACEs, the PACEs people came in and helped change you. And so the HOPE is the things that you're doing now to live a healthier life. So they all play a part in each other. And like I took the ACE study, and when I took the
Hmm.
ACE questionnaire, I was really shocked because I had an ACE score of 5. And I grew up
Yeah.
with both of my parents, but there were some things that happened in the house that I was like, OMG. So I had to really just sit in that and be like, okay, so I don't want to bleed on the
Hmm.
people. What can I do to help myself so that I can help somebody else? And like you said, people
Right.
need to know what their ACE score is in order to help people. Because, like you said, they could be having a ACE score of 8 or 9, and they're wondering why they're having health problems. It's because your ACE score is this high. All of that plays a part in health as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, it does. And it's kind of like the phrase, each one teach one,
Absolutely.
Carla. Like you say, you learning and teaching and doing that along the way. So I appreciate you for dropping those gems and talking about some of the things you have forthcoming, because all of that is wrapped up in your ministry.
Absolutely.
It really is. And speaking of that, I know Jump is going to be having an event coming up in July. Do you want to talk about that a little bit with the audience while we're just flowing in that conversation of community
Oh,
stuff?
absolutely. So I have a nonprofit called Jump, just understanding my purpose. This organization we've been doing the work since 2013, but we just got it as a 501c3 within the last 2 years. And I'll just tell you a little bit of how Jump came to be. At the time,
Yeah, yeah, go
at
ahead.
the time I was working at DCS, and there were some families that needed Christmas. Um, and I just called a couple of friends and said, "Hey, I got a couple of families that need Christmas. Um, can you guys help?" They were able to help. The next year, the same thing, but the number was double. The first year was 25. The second year was 50. And so I was like, okay, this is becoming a pattern here. What do I need to do? So I have during that time, I was just able to partner with a lot of people that saw the need of families in crisis at Christmas time, and grandparents at crisis in Christmas time, because the foster care kids, they get Christmas all day long. They're taken care of, but it's those that are out in the community that have nothing to fall back on. This was before
Hmm.
Family Center had their program going. So we have just exploded with this as far as getting Christmas for families at Christmas time, because we do not want the grandparents, especially if they're raising their grandkids, have to choose between if they're going to buy medicine and groceries or get their grandkids something for Christmas. So we are having a
Yeah.
fundraiser July the 12th at the Memorial Building at 6 o'clock. It's a Bachelor Bachelorette Auction, to raise money for this event, for the Christmas. Last year we was able to help 577 kids with Christmas. That's our highest number, and we did that in a week's
Wow.
time. This year our goal is 600 kids.
Wow.
So we asked for bare minimum information, because just because you drive up in an Escalade doesn't mean that you have money to buy Christmas. Because I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if you living in that Escalade.
That's right.
And the way that our economy is going right
Yeah, that's
now,
true.
the way
Mm-hmm.
that our economy is going right now,
Yeah.
the need is going to be even greater this year. So we are looking for people that may want to
Yeah.
partner with us, that may want to donate for it with us. But the Bachelor Bachelorette Auction is a great event, a fun event. You dress after five, semi-formal to formal. You
Okay.
bid on the Bachelor or Bachelorette. You don't have to go out on a date with them. You just get to hang out with them the night of the event. There's a $40 ticket for a single person, $60 for a couple before the event, but at the door, everybody price is $50. All the money goes towards the community toy store. I don't get to pocket any of the money.
Okay.
That's not what I do. That's not what Jim
Yeah.
does. It's all feeds back into the toy store. Because, like I said, we want to help as many people as we can. There are people that are ashamed to come and shop, but like I tell people when they come in the doors, I'm always there. What I tell them when they come in the door, there's no judgment. I need you to hold your head up high,
Oh, mm-hmm.
because
Yeah.
some people have been there. I was a mother that received uh, assistance for Christmas when my kids was younger, so I know how it felt to
Mm-hmm.
get a garbage bag. Once you get the garbage bag home, it's not what your kids wanted or even their sizes. So the way that we have the toy store set up is just like a store. Their parents come in and shop for their kids. They get what they want for their kids. So that's where all the money go towards. It go towards making that event as special as possible. And we don't just go from kids 0 to 12. We even try to have something for the teens. So yeah.
That's
So come
good.
out and
Yeah.
support.
Yeah. The teen
Yeah.
population. Yes. Y'all go support, and it's gonna be at the you said Memorial
Memorial
Building.
Building on July the 12th at 6 p.m. All the food and drinks you want for $40 for those that like to drink. Food and drinks $40 all
Gotcha.
night long. We don't put it up until the end. We have the great two great MCs. We have Marcel Fleming, which is my youngest son. He will be an MC for the event, as well as Ginger Wells Smith. So if you've never been in the presence of those two clowns, you need to come and laugh, because it's going to be laughter all night long.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a good time for sure. For sure. A really good time. Well, Carla, thank you for telling us about that, and I'll make sure it gets in the description of the video, and we'll repost the flyer as
Okay.
well. Start getting it promoted out even the more. Um, so I know we're wrapping up, and I want to ask you. I got two questions I'm gonna ask you. I think we done promoted everything.
Okay.
Okay. Question one is, what daily practices help keep you just in alignment? Or just rooted, grounded, all of that? What are some daily things you do just to keep yourself going?
So every morning between 4 and 5, God wakes me up. And I have to start my day with Him. I'm either
Okay.
listening to gospel music. I am in the process of reading the Bible again from cover to cover. I read the Bible
Okay.
twice, but I didn't read it for understanding. I just read it like a book. You know what I'm saying? So now
Gotcha.
I am taking the
Yeah.
time to read chapter by chapter, soaking in that word, letting God tell me what I need to get from that word. And
Mhm.
meditate on the word, pray over the word, and let him download whatever. So first and foremost, I spend the first part of my morning with him. Secondly, I and that includes prayer. Secondly, I have to, before I go into my internship placement, I have to have that still away
Mhm.
time for me, like 5 minutes of just quietness, because I know once I step through those
Okay.
doors, it's over. So just, just quietness. I just need
Yeah.
just quietness. So I take the time just to sit still and be quiet, and then just
Okay.
pour into people. God pour into me so that I
Yeah.
can pour into people. So just pouring into people and loving them where they are, because we see in my internship, we see a lot of broken people, and to the
Okay.
point to where they feel that they're less than and that they never amount to anything. So I pour into them so that
Yeah.
they can pour into someone else, to put that glimmer back in their light, because some of them just have been devastated for many years, and they don't know how to smile anymore. So I smile so that they can smile, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It does. I like it's, you giving them hope,
Mm-hmm.
and then you also, like you say, giving them something to go pour into someone else with when they probably don't even realize they that I can even do this. So I like
Right.
that. I like that a lot. Um. Okay, my final question. So as you know, your cousin was all in the music, and I asked everybody if you could have a song be your life story, what would it be and why?
Woo! Um, mm.
And most people do two songs. So if you got two, I'm gonna throw that out there.
So there was a song when I was younger that my daddy used to play all the time, and the song was called "Wildflower" by Tyrese. Has a remix of it now that's out. That
Okay.
that song
Okay.
resonates with me because, again, I was the only girl. I had five brothers, so I was rough and tumble. Uh, and when I got with my boyfriend, I was like, I can change a tire, I can change my oil, I could possibly put in a carbonator. Don't want to, but I can do that if I need to. Uh,
Got the skills.
right, because I had to do what they did. But as time progressed, I
Yeah.
developed into a
Yeah.
lady. And so that song is basically talking about a wildflower growing wild in the weeds, but she is now
Hmm.
turning into a lady. So after 53 years, you know what I'm saying? I see myself turning into a lady,
Gotcha.
not that rough and tumble.
Yeah.
You do, I'm gonna do you before you do me mentality. You want to fight? Let's get them up.
Uh-huh.
So
Uh-huh. Right.
so that's one song. Uh,
Gotcha.
and
Okay.
my next song is Never Would Have Made It. Um,
Oh.
because of
Mm-hmm.
all the things that I have gone through in my life, from being a teenage mother at 16, being another teenage mother at 17, and then being another mother at 23. Um, People said that I never was going to amount to anything. I went on to college to get my degree, because I'm supposed to be a statistic of having three kids out of wedlock. I'm supposed to be living in the projects, receiving food stamps every day. Not no disrespect to that. But my second song would be Never Would Have Made It. Because for the things that I've gone through, being a single mother, three times, never married, I'm supposed to be in the project.
Mm-hmm.
I was not supposed to get a college degree. I never supposed to work for the state. I never was supposed to, there's all the things that
Right.
I never was supposed to do. But I know
Yeah.
God had me covered through it all in order for me
Yeah.
to do his work. And so I know never would have made it. I never would have made it without him guiding my life and guiding me through all the things that I I didn't see there was a hindrance, that I thought I was having a good time, but didn't realize my life was in danger. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Plenty
gotcha,
of times
gotcha.
driving drunk and I should have wrecked, but he kept me. You know what I'm saying?
Kept you.
So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, never would have made it is my second song.
Never would have made it. That's a good one. That's a good one. That's a real good one right there. I think somebody else said never would have made it when I asked them that question. So I appreciate you, Carla. Thank you for coming on and just being so open and so honest. I want to congratulate you in early congratulations. As you mentioned, you're in school to get your master's in clinical mental health counseling. So I want to say an early kudos and an early congratulations to you. I know this journey probably has not been easy, as most things are, but I guess with God and just your tenacity and keep going, like you are almost to the finish line. So I want to say
Absolutely.
congratulations to you
That,
and your
but you know,
intern and your regular
absolutely.
job
But what
and jump
absolutely
all the
but what's
things
so
you
funny
got
though,
going on.
Tiffany? Yeah, but what's so funny? When
Yeah.
I signed up to start school, I
Mm-hmm.
was grieving at that time, and before I knew it, I had got an
Mm.
acceptance letter, and I was like, "What the world I done got myself into?" So I'm not a quitter, so I had to finish the course.
You had to finish the course. Yeah, yeah. Do you think
So
that
I was
propelled
the
you
first to
into
bid.
considering? Yeah. Do you think that propelled you into considering like going into this new, I don't want to say it's a new career path because it's in such alignment with what you currently do, but did that kind
Mhm.
of propel you to go that direction and pursue this new degree?
Absolutely, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I was grieving. I had got the certification to be a life coach. I have that. I have a certification
Okay.
as a mindful coach as well. Did that, and I
Okay.
said it's. I'm still not being fulfilled. What else do I need to do? So, like I said, I was just scrolling through, and then I filled out the application, not thinking that I was going to get in because I've been out of school for 17 years.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I was like, okay, daddy, it's me and you, father, because
Yeah.
my brain is gone.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. Purpose. You're living in purpose, on purpose for sure,
Absolutely.
Carla. Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, all righty. Well, we're gonna wrap this thing up. One thing your cousin Quinn used to always say was all is well. So I try to end every episode with saying all is well. Thank you again, Carla, for being on. I really appreciate it. And we'll get all of your stuff in the description of everything you got
All
going
right.
on. But just keep
Okay.
fighting on. Keep everything
Absolutely.
up that you're doing. Like I say, you're such an example for myself, such a leader, such a mentor, and I just appreciate you. I do. Well,
I love you too.
I hope you all have a good rest of your week, and we'll be back in 2 weeks with another episode. Thank you again. Bye.
We hope that today's episode has encouraged you and helped to identify strategies to navigate your grief and begin the process of moving forward in life. Grief Tribe Healing Vibes. What were some key takeaways from today's episode? Drop a comment below and remember to like, follow, and subscribe.